day that Mr. Whiskers went wild, I knew it was only a matter of time before something like this happened. It's just one of those days. You know what I'm talking about, right? Where everything that can go wrong does go wrong. It is like Murphy's Law in the form of an evil gremlin standing over your shoulder just laughing at you as you try to make toast and the bread goes flying into the air. Everything is going wrong and you wonder, why today? But Murphy's Law is a bitch because she doesn't care if it is your birthday or not. She doesn't care if it's Christmas or not. Doesn't matter. It is gonna be bad and it is gonna be ugly and you should expect the worst. So, yeah, it was one of those days. I don't know what it was about 6 o'clock in the morning. Maybe it was the fact that my wife had decided to move my bed that morning. No, that can't be it because I wasn't in bed. I was laying on the floor trying to convince a cat who had his head stuck in a basket that he needed to get out because I had to get up for work. My wife is moving the bed. That shouldn't have been an issue, but there was a communication breakdown between me and the cat thought that I was trying to kill him and he fought me tooth and nail. Scratching, clawing, biting. Man, cats are strong, aren't they? They may look like these cute little teddy bears that purr all the time, but when they fight with the passion of 1,000 demons. I tell ya, I was covered in scratches. I looked like I had been in a bar fight. Except it wasn't a bar fight. It was a battle with a cat who was convinced that I wanted to shove him in a basket and cook him for breakfast. But finally, after several minutes, I got him out of the basket and I got myself cleaned up. So it was 6:30 and I was heading out the door when my son came running down the stairs. Dad, he says, the cat peed on my leg. So off we go to work. My son gets cleaned up. We both leave. And then about 8 o'clock rolls around and I get a call from my wife. Did you take the trash out last night? I said, yes, I did. She says, well, someone left the kitchen window open and Mr. Whiskers decided that he wanted to use the trash bins as a litter box. I was flabbergasted. It's one thing for a cat to pee in a trash can, but I emptied those trash cans at night. So what was in the trash can that smelled so good to Mr. Whiskers? It must have been the shrimp scampi that my wife made the night before. Apparently, the cat burglar struck again, and the rest of the day continued to go downhill from there. I mean, it took every bit of effort I could muster to keep my cool as I sat there at my desk imagining Mr. Whiskers perched atop the trash bins thinking how awesome he was. Yeah, it would have been easier if he just pissed on the floor. At least then it wouldn't have stunk. And even though I hate cleaning up after the cat, at least I could have taken it out back and hosed it down. But no, Siri Bob. Mr. Whiskers had elevated his game. He was now an indoor-outdoor combo cat, striking fear into the hearts of all who entered our humble abode. Now, normally, my son and we get along great. We are best friends. We love hanging out together. But in this situation, he was giving me the stink face. And I don't blame him. After all, he was the one who had to deal with the aftermath while I was at work. But every time I tried to talk to him about it, all he would do is walk away from me. I tried making it right. I told him we'd go out for ice cream that weekend, and still he gave me the silent treatment. I was desperate. My son was mad at me and I didn't know what to do. I was trying to think of some way to make it up to him. Maybe if I took him to Disneyland or maybe bought him a new bike. But I couldn't afford any of that. Plus, by the time we got to Disneyland, he'd be too busy screaming on roller coasters to listen to me apologize anyway. And that's when it hit me like a bolt of lightning out of a clear blue sky. Why not write a story about the misadventures of a naughty cat and feature my son as a hero of the tale? Sure, the cat would be modeled after Mr. Whiskers, but who cares? Everyone loves a happy ending, right? I raced to my computer and started typing. Within 2 hours, I had a complete story. It was funny, it was heartwarming, and most importantly, it put my son in a positive light. I printed it out, went to find my son and told him I had a surprise for him. When I showed him the story, he was speechless for a moment. Then a slow grin spread across his face. "That's awesome, Dad," he said. And from that moment on, our relationship was restored. Now, I should point out that this particular incident with Mr. Whiskers didn't happen exactly as I told it here. For example, it wasn't really a single story that saved my relationship with my son. Instead, it was more of a series of stories. But the important part is that each story was unique, entertaining, and educational. See, the thing is kids learn best through play. And there's no better way to teach them about things like safety and responsibility than with fun, engaging stories. Every time my son got upset at me, I would sit him down, look him in the eye and say, "Do you want to hear a story?" And without fail, he would nod his head, even though his face betrayed his true feelings. "All right then," I would say, and I would launch into the next installment of the Naughty Cat Chronicles. In the next story, Mr. Whiskers decides to play hide and seek, but he chooses a hiding spot that's very dangerous. Can my son find him in time before something terrible happens? What will Mr. Whiskers learn from his adventure? And most importantly, how will he change his behavior moving forward? In each story, Mr. Whiskers made a mistake and my son had to figure out a way to make things right. And in the end, it always worked out for the best. For example, in another story, Mr. Whiskers got into my son E's Legos and built a tower so tall that it knocked over a lamp and almost started a fire. In that story, my son had to learn how to use a fire extinguisher. Not only were the Naughty Cat Chronicles entertaining, but they also taught my son important lessons about safety. And then there was a time Mr. Whiskers tried to help my son with his homework, but instead ended up destroying his school project. That story taught my son about consequences and the importance of following rules. You see, when Mr. Whiskers caused trouble, my son had to come up with a solution to fix it. And in the process, he learned valuable life skills that he'll use long after the Naughty Cat Chronicles come to an end. Plus, the stories gave my son a chance to escape from reality and enter a world where anything was possible. He could be anyone he wanted to be and do anything he wanted to do. And in the process, he discovered new interests and hobbies that he never would have considered otherwise. Some people might think it's silly to use stories to connect with your kids, but I don't care what they think. It's working for us and that's all that matters. Besides, I'm having too much fun making up these stories to stop now. Who knows what kind of trouble Mr. Whiskers will get into next? All I can say is that my son and I are in for a wild ride.